Hello dear students, welcome to Bajirao Ias Academy interview guidance program. So in today's lecture we are going to discuss about the recent farm protests in Delhi that took place in Delhi. Now a few years back we have also seen a large scale farm protests against the bills which were introduced by the central government for reforming the agriculture marketing as well as the agriculture sector. However, during the protest that took place earlier in the year 2022, the major demand of the farmers was announcing minimum support prices for the farm produce. Okay, so no doubt that the government has been providing minimum support prices for the farm produce. However, the question is the MSP does not have the statutory status. MSP does not have the statutory status. So one of the major demand in this recent farm protest is that the farmers have been demanding the legal backing for the minimum support prices. So apart from the minimum support prices, the farmers have also been demanding 12 major demands. Okay, so they put forward 12 major demands in front of the government and they want that the government must fulfill those 12 demands. So in the later part of the lecture we will understand what are those 12 demands that were made by the farmers. So in this lecture we will understand why farm protests are in news that took place in Delhi, and apart from that what is the ongoing farm protest is all about, and what are the major demands of the farmers, what they are demanding for, and what was the government's response, what was the attitude of the government towards the farm protests. Is government really willing to fulfill the major demands of the farmers, especially providing minimum support price statutory status? And after that we will also understand what is MSP regime in India, the minimum support price regime in India, because it is very important that we need to understand what is MSP, for which crops the government announces MSP in every cropping season. Okay, so if you look at the farm protests, around 250 farmer unions from Punjab, they have been gearing up to march to Delhi. So I can say they have already started the farmer protest, and 250 farmer unions, most of these unions are from Punjab, so they have started protesting against the government, demanding fulfilling of those 12 demands. So Delhi government has already imposed 144 section. Okay, so in order to maintain law and order in Delhi, one of the key demands that the farmers have been demanding as part of this Delhi Chalo march is legal guarantee for the minimum support prices. Okay. Now, what is this ongoing farmer protest is all about? We need to understand the background of the farmer protest as well. Okay, so as I have already told you earlier, the government has passed 3 farm laws. All of you have been aware of this farm laws. So the farmer unions have protested against these farm laws. So in later period of time, the government repealed all these farm laws. Okay, so the farmers then withdraw their protests. So however, one of the major protests during the earlier farmer protests is providing minimum support prices with a statutory backing. So farmer unions under Kisan Mazdoor Morcha and Samyukt Kisan Morcha, so this is actually a non-political farmer union. So these two groups have called for the large scale protest being coordinated from the state called Punjab. Okay, so most of these farmer protests are coordinated from the state of Punjab, and they're called by the Kisan Mazdoor Morcha and Samyukt Kisan Morcha. Okay, so these were two farmer unions. So these two forums that we have discussed earlier, they have called for Delhi Chalo movement. Okay, so why Delhi Chalo? This is essentially to remind the Prime Minister of the promises he has made to the farmers 2 years ago when he repealed the farm laws, so that were passed earlier. Okay, so in both its demands, and leadership, the protest of 2024 is very different from the year-long agitation of 2021. Okay, so this farmer protest is very different. If you look at this recent farm protest in Delhi, this is very different from what has happened in the year 2020-21 financial year. Okay, so if you look at the 2020 and 21 farm protest, so the farmers were mainly successful in forcing the government or convincing the government that these three formulas are not in the best interest of the farmers. So therefore, subsequently, the government repealed all those farm bills. Okay, subsequently, the government repealed 3 farm bills. Okay, so the government has subsequently rolled back its agriculture reforms agenda. So this is what the the protest is all about. Okay, so this is what the protest. So what are the demands of the farmers in this particular protest? Why the farmers have been demanding? What has been the major demand of the farmers? The headline demand of the farmers is 12-point agenda. Okay, so farmers have come up with a 12-point agenda. Okay, so one such or one very important demand was demanding minimum support prices. Okay, so legal backing for the minimum support prices, but not just earlier mentioned 22 crops, but legal backing for MSP, legal backing of MSP for all major crops. Okay, all crops, and the determination of crop prices in accordance with Dr. M.S. Swaminathan Commission's report. Now earlier, M.S. Swaminathan Commission has also submitted its report with respect to the crop prices that must be announced as part of the government's MSP regime. So therefore, they have come up with a set of demands. So these demands were called as 12-point agenda. Okay, so what are those major demands? First is full debt waiver for the farmers and laborers. Now if you look at the agriculture sector, the debt is a major problem that the farmers have been facing, because most of the farmers, if you know, they lack the institutional credit access. Institutional credit access is lacking for the farmers. Okay, so why it is lacking? Because lack of financial inclusion, banking facilities, and even the collateral requirements. So all these factors have been making that farmers will not have access to the institutional credit facilities. However, if you look at the schemes like PM Kisan Samman Nidhi, so they are just providing an input support of 6,000 rupees, whatever land you have. Okay, so up to 5 acres of land, it has been providing 6,000 rupees of financial assistance. So however, the 6,000 rupees is also provided in 3 installments, 2,000 rupees each. For most of the farmers, this 6,000 rupees inadequate, and apart from that, they also lack the access to the institutional credit facilities. So therefore, they are approaching the local money lenders for the credit to meet the input requirements. So however, what happens, the local money lenders usually charge hefty amounts of interest. So therefore, the debt of the farmers pile up over a period of over the years. So because of the farm debt, there are instances that the farmers have also been committing suicides, especially in states like Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. So one such demand of this ongoing farm protest is full debt waiver for the farmers as well as the farm laborers. So second most important demand that were asking the government to consider was, earlier there was a Land Acquisition Act of 2013. Okay, so this Land Acquisition Act talks about the transparent acquisition of land and fair compensation for the person from whom the land is being acquired. However, this farm protest has been demanding that there should be a written consent from the farmer. Okay, for example, the government notifies the Land Acquisition Act to take away some land for the infrastructure developmental projects. However, in order to take away the land of the farmer, it must require a written consent of the respective farmer before actually acquiring the land. Okay, so this also talks about the compensation. The demand also talks about the compensation. The compensation usually 4 times the collector's rate. Okay, so 4 times higher than the collector rate. So this was the second demand that the farmers have been asking in this 12-point agenda. So in 2021, when farmers have been protesting against these 3 farm laws in Uttar Pradesh, there was a major accident. A truck was rammed into the protesting farmers, so that led to the killing of few farmers. So this is called as Lakhimpur Kheri killings. So as part of this 12-point agenda, the farmers have also included or demanded that the punishment for the perpetrators of the October 2021 Lakhimpur Kheri killings. Okay, so this is another demand of the farmers. So shockingly, farmers have also been demanding that India should exit, or India should withdraw its membership from the World Trade Organization. So why World Trade Organization? Because World Trade Organization has been objecting India providing subsidies to the agriculture sector. When I say subsidies, it's minimum support price program, it's public distribution system, and electricity subsidy that is given to the farmers, and fertilizer subsidy as well. So World Trade Organization has been criticizing and opposing all these subsidies that the government extends to the farming sector. So because of this reason, the government is very often thinking about coming out of this ambit of providing more and more subsidies to the agriculture sector. So therefore, the farmers have also been demanding that India should withdraw its membership from the World Trade Organization, and India should also freeze all trade agreements. And fourthly, pensions for farmers and farm laborers was also the major demand that the farmers have been put forward before the government. The government should provide pensions for the farmers as well as the farm laborers. This was the fourth demand. And the next demand was compensation for the farmers. So earlier in the year 2020 and 2021, farmers have also protested in Delhi against three farm laws. Okay, three farm laws. So therefore, now farmers have been demanding that the compensation should be provided for the farmers who killed in the Delhi protest earlier. So that also includes one job for the one family member. And apart from that, so the farmers have also been demanding that the Electricity Amendment Bill 2020 should be scrapped. So the government has brought Electricity Amendment Bill 2020 to amend Electricity Act of 2003. So this Electricity Amendment Bill bring reforms in the electricity sector, especially the distribution of electricity, and this has provisions with respect to supply of free electricity to the farmers. So therefore, they want that this amendment bill should be scrapped. This is one of the demand. So after that, they also talked about the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So with respect to MG Narega, so it provides a legal guarantee. It usually provides a legal guarantee of 100 days of employment to unskilled rural household who is willing to take up work. So as I have already told you, 1/3 of the workers who are engaged in the MG Narega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, are women. So therefore, what they are demanding, that the MG Narega work days should be increased from existing 100 days to 200 days. Okay, so and the daily wage of workers should also be increased to 700 rupees. Okay, and this Manrega scheme should be linked with the agriculture sector, farming sector. So therefore, it benefits the Indian agriculture sector as well as the rural unemployed population. rural unemployed population would be benefited, and the agriculture sector would also be benefited because it provides 200 days of legal guarantee of work and 700 rupees of daily wages. And apart from that, so they have also demanded to constitute a national commission for spices such as chili and turmeric. Okay, so these were the demands of the farmers, but a majority of the demands were they are beyond the imagination of the government, especially when we talk about wages for the Manrega workers, increasing the number of days for a number of days of work under the Manrega program, and scrapping of the electricity bill, India withdrawing its membership from the World Trade Organization. So everything is far beyond the imagination of the government. So in this context, we have to understand what is the response of the government so far on this farmer protest. So both Kisan Mukti Morcha as well as this SKM, so this is a non-political organization. Earlier I have told you that, so they already conveyed their demands, their respective demands, to the Ministries of Agriculture and Commerce and Industry ministries. Those are the two ministries which actually deal with the agriculture sector, agriculture marketing, as well as export of agriculture commodities. So they have already conveyed the respective demands to these ministries. So earlier there were two meetings. Okay, so with the farm unions held two meetings with the Union Agriculture Minister as well as Union Commerce and Industry Minister, Minister of State for Home, and they met with the farmers delegation in Chandigarh, Punjab, over their demands. However, so the Agriculture Minister has said that in most of the issues, so they have achieved the required or necessary consensus. So necessary consensus means farmers have agreed what the government has said, and government also agreed for the farmers' demand. So it says for the most of the issues they have achieved the consensus. So however, still there are some issues that have to be addressed and they require the permanent resolution. So therefore there should be a committee that address the issues which not yet achieved any proper consensus. Okay, so this is the response of the government with respect to the recent farm protests. So however, even as the farmers and the ministers were talking about the resolution of this issue, the farmers issue, Haryana government has started sealing its borders with the Punjab, because majority of the farmers who have been part of this farm protests are from Punjab. So Punjab has started sealing its borders with Haryana has started sealing its borders with Punjab, and even Rajasthan also sealed its borders with both Punjab and Haryana. So it has also imposed the prohibitory orders under section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Okay, so this is what the response of the government. Now we will understand briefly what is the issue of minimum support prices in India. So what exactly is the issue of minimum support prices in India? So what is the meaning of MSP? Now in earlier lectures also we have discussed about the minimum support prices. Now briefly, if I can define minimum support price, it is market intervention from the government side. Okay, so government intervenes in the market by announcing the minimum support prices. So this minimum support price will protect farmers from the distress sale. Okay, so please note that it protects farmers from distress sale of their agriculture produce. So MSP is a policy decision, but it does not have any legal backing. So as I have already told you that it does not have any statutory status. However, it is a policy decision that has been taken by the government of India. So to ensure that, or to ensure, okay, so it provides insurance to the agriculture producers, otherwise called as farmers, against any sharp fall in farm prices during the bumper production years. Now generally, if I can tell you what happens, imagine a financial year called, for example, financial year 2021-2022. Okay, so there's a bumper agriculture production. So because of the bumper agriculture production, what happened? So the harvesting of crop takes place at a one time. Okay, so at the same time the harvesting of crop takes place across the country. Okay, so after harvesting, the agriculture produce used to flood the markets. Okay, so agri produce flood the markets. So therefore, when agri produce flood the markets because of lack of cold storage facilities, warehousing facilities, so what happens? So because of the excess produce, the prices would come down. So when prices would come down, that lead to the distress sale of the agriculture produced by the farmers, and that leads to lesser realization of prices for their produce by the farmers. So this is a major problem. However, in order to prevent the issue of distress sale, government announces the minimum support prices that ensure the agriculture producers against any sharp fall in the farm prices during the bumper production years. Okay, so this is the basic definition of the minimum support prices. So Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Okay, so this is called as Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. So this Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs is chaired by the Prime Minister. So this Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approves the MSP for a particular season, but it should be based on the Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices. So in every sowing season, for example, we have two major sowing seasons, Kharif and Rabi. So before the beginning of every cropping season, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs announces the MSP based on the recommendations on Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices. So this is how MSP is being announced. So in this context, what are the major objectives of the minimum support price that the government has been announcing? So it has certain objectives. First objective is MSP are a guarantee price for the farmers produce from the government side. Okay, so this will prevent the farmers from distress sale, and it will also help us procure food grains for our public distribution system. So we all know that we have a vast public distribution system, and there is also a need for procurement of the food grains from the farmers. So generally what happens, in order to meet the needs of the public distribution system, we have been procuring food grains from the farmers by providing them the minimum support prices. So therefore it has been fulfilling the twin objectives. MSP has been fulfilling the twin objectives of public distribution system, and it also stabilizing the market, preventing distress sale. It is also assuring a guaranteed price for the farmers, even though it is not lacking any statutory status. So for example, in case of market glut due to bumper production, for example, if there is a market glut in case of a bumper production or huge production, so the government agencies will be ready to buy the entire quantity that is being supplied by the farmers at the announced minimum price. Okay, so if there is a bumper crop production in a particular year, the government agencies will be ready to whatever amount the farmers will sell to the to these agencies at a minimum support price. Now, what is the background of this minimum support price when it was announced? So the MSP regime came into existence as a policy decision. Please remember, this does not lack any statutory backing, but this came into existence as a policy decision in the year 1967. Okay, so this came into existence based on the recommendations of Food Grain Price Committee constituted in 1964 under L.K. Jha. So constituted under L.K. Jha Committee. Okay, Food Grain Price Committee constituted in 1964 under L.K. Jha Committee. So the MSP was announced as a policy decision in the year 1967. So the government has set up Agriculture Price Commission, and this Agriculture Price Commission was later renamed as Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices in the year 1985. So this Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices fixed the MSP price and then recommends it to the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, and then if Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approves, then the government will announce MSPs every sowing season. So what are the major crops which are covered under the MSP regime? So far 22 mandated crops, not all crops, only 22 mandated crops were given the MSP, along with fair and remunerative prices for the sugarcane. Okay, so total 23 crops have been covered as part of the MSP regime. Okay, so this fair and remunerative price for the sugarcane is being announced by the state governments as well. So the mandated crops so far are 14 crops. 14 crops are kharif crops, and 6 crops are rabi crops, and 2 other are commercial crops such as cotton. Sugarcane can also be a commercial crop. Cotton can also be a commercial crop. Okay, so these are the kharif crops. 14 are kharif crops and 6 are rabi crops, and remaining are commercial crops. So what are the associated issues with respect to the MSP? So there are a number of issues which are associated with the MSP regime. The first and foremost issue is that MSP does not have a legal backing or statutory backing. So that is one of the major demand of the recent farm protests. So apart from that, majority of the farmers were not covered under the MSP regime. So please remember, 86% of our farmers are small and marginal farmers. Okay, so they are small and marginal farmers. So most of the farmers who are part of the MSP regime were large farmers. Okay, so this has been held by the National Sample Survey Office. So less than 6% of the total farmers were actually benefited from the minimum support price. Okay, so thereby directly from selling their wheat and rice under the MSP regime. So this essentially means that only 6% of the total farmers, most of them are large farmers, were actually benefited from this MSP regime. Okay, and the next major issue with the MSP is procurement is concentrated in just few states. For example, if you look at the procurement of wheat and rice, it is just concentrated in states like Haryana, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Western Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Telangana. Okay, so particularly for paddy. So when we talk about cotton, it is mostly concentrated in the states like Telangana and Maharashtra. So apart from that, there are also a number of challenges that the farmers have lack awareness over the minimum support prices. So this is another major disadvantage or associated with issue. And the government has also been not setting up the procurement centers even at the block level. So when the government set up these procurement centers, farmers can directly sell their produce at these procurement centers. So after that, the repayment of the dues. So delayed repayment of dues is also another issue that the farmers have been facing with respect to the MSP. So therefore, in this context, the government has been looking to address most of the demands of the farmers or achieve consensus over the issues that the farmers have been demanding. Right. So in this context, we hope that the government will come up with any major policy initiative that could address the concerns of the farmers in the coming days. Okay, so that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the like button if you really like our work. Thank you.